I kind of think of Shelley as like the Justice League. Everyone talks about, Brinley Cannon, but they're kind of like the Justice League. They just have a nice set of characters that back them up.
When it comes to high school sports, East Idaho never gets its due.
I ran into Jeremy Hess, the AD of Grace Lutheran, and, he was just excited. And then, I'm just talking to him and he goes, we have 7 girls. So just amazing.
But the East Idaho Prepcast has changed that, covering the biggest sports stories from Salmon all the way down to Bear Lake.
And again, Grace is always that team just kind of lurking, like, yeah, there's Grace. They, they don't have social media, but you know what? They have footballs, they got grass, and they got pads, and they use all those very well.
It's the East Idaho Prepcast with Sean Kane on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome to another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. It's an East Idaho Prepcast after dark tonight with Sean Kane as your host. I'm Joel Richardson leading this East Idaho show. It's great to have you with us. It is Wednesday night at 8:50. Sorry for getting on here late, folks, but it's great to have you all with us. Sean, what an amazing week of sports. We had some up and down. We had some tension. We had some stress. We've had districts. It's been a great week so far, and the party's just going to keep going, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're entering the last week of football, right? I took my daughter to basketball practice this evening. It's the seasons are changing and the sports are changing because we're coming to the end of fall sports here in East Idaho.
Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the East Idaho Prepcast. Yeah, and you can watch the show, on IdahoSports.com's Facebook page, YouTube channel, or X account, and you can listen to this Prepcast wherever you download and listen to your Prepcasts. Sean, we already have a comment coming in from the boss, Paul Kingsbury. Just turn the heat up, man. Sean mentioned the seasons are changing. It's getting a little cold. He's got his vest going, long sleeve shirt. Sean's cold.
No. Hey, I mean, how many of these have I done? I have pretty much a hooded sweatshirt on everyone except maybe in the summer, maybe. And Paul should know this. And Ryan Skaggs from the north. This is a Costco vest, and if you're a father in a certain age range, you have a lot of Costco clothing, and it's important, and it's an important part of life. So there you go.
100%. And I have my wardrobe, I think, is half of Costco. So all good. Sean, let's get our viewers, our listeners right into it with our player of the week and our team of the week. We have, Sean, for the first time since 2018, a first district title since 2010, the Preston Indians defeat last week the Pocatello, used to be Indians, now the Pocatello Thunder, behind the amazing play of our co-players of the week, junior running back Connor Iverson and sophomore quarterback Carter Perry.
Yeah, I mean, in our pre-game discussion and things like that, it was hard to say just pick one of them. We had to go with both. We had to go Connor Iverson, 138 yards, 2 scores on 23 carries. He's kind of done this all year. He's just been an extremely good running back and leading his team to this first district title since 2010 and a home playoff game and everything else, right? I mean, just amazing. But, not only that, you have Carter Perry, just a sophomore. He's leading the state of Idaho in passing yards in all categories. And if 6A, 5A, 4A, double A, 365, Carter Perry's leading them all. So behind both these guys, what a phenomenal job. We had to go with them. It would have been easy too to go Preston defense. The Preston defense also did a phenomenal job against the Pocatello Thunder to secure this district championship and a home playoff game, which I don't have that in the record books, but it's been a while. Maybe Paul will chime in there. But yeah, it's probably been a long time since Preston Indians have had a home football game for playoffs, and it's going to probably mean someone traveling from far away to come play there, what it looks like, and what a great job. So congratulations to Connor Iverson, Carter Perry, the double C's getting it done for the Preston Indians, and just a great job. And 2 guys that have played really, really well. Carter Perry, like I said, he's kind of statistically led quarterbacks for Idaho for the state kind of all year quietly. Not a lot of talk about him. He, wasn't in the top quarterbacks in the preseason, but he's done a phenomenal job. And their coach Cunningham talked about turnovers, and they maybe would have won a few more games if they weren't -2 in the turnovers, but they flipped that around against the Thunder, and that's why those two are our players of the week.
Yeah, and you and I had the pleasure to watch them play against Century a few weeks ago, Sean, and we were both impressed by obviously the junior running back Connor Iverson and also his other compatriot, the sophomore Carter Perry. But you're right in terms of how quiet things have been for them because they've lost a lot of games, but on a little streak now, 2 or 3 game streak. They have Snake River this Friday. If they can beat Snake River, Sean, they improve their Max Preps rankings even more, as Snake River is the 4A champion in the SCIC. So important game for Preston coming up. But until then, man, great job to both those players and great job to the entire team. But those players are our East Idaho players of the week. Sean, let's turn to boys soccer really quick for our team of the week. Massive upset, I would say, as we've been talking about Sugar Salem Diggers boys soccer all season, how strong they've been. They were our team of the week about a month ago. And Teton says, hold the press, stop the presses. And Teton boys soccer goes in and upsets Sugar Salem to win for not only the district title, but the Mountain Rivers Conference only state playoff berth.
Yeah. So, maybe we've honed in a little too much on Sugar Salem, and we should. They're the number 1 ranked team in Max Preps. They have been all year. They're the defending champions.
Yep.
But if you go back and look at these rankings, Teton was ranked 4 in Max Preps at the end of the season. Obviously that win over Sugar is going to boost that, but they weren't bad team. I think it was, kind of, it's just hard. You have the best team potentially in the state, basically, until they're not in the same division, only one goes, which is terrible in my opinion. But now yes. Sugar doesn't even get to defend their championship. They have the number 1 ranking. One of the best, if not the best schedule. Wendell has the same amount of wins and losses as them, but the best teams left out. But you have to win. You have to win to go. It doesn't matter. Teton did that. Team of the week. They're going to be riding high into this tournament, and I'd watch out. I'd watch out for this Teton team that's fast, strong. They get down the field very well. So, congratulations to Teton, and kind of an upset just because Sugar's the number 1 team in the state, but not so much of an upset because they're the 4 team being the 1 in a tournament. You wouldn't think that was a huge upset, but in the aspect of them playing each other all the times through the year and losing by big margins, Teton lost both games to Sugar in the regular season, 1-4, 1-5. So pretty comprehensive wins. So for Teton to go ahead and win 2-1 in that district championship game, you've got to just be really proud of your team. And then also, I think extremely disappointing for Scott Terry and the Sugar Salem Diggers to not even get a chance to compete.
Yeah. And, Coach Terry's a friend of the program, and we're sorry for that whole situation. And look, folks, write your senator, right? Reach out to IHSAA. But until then, like Sean says, you got to win the game, right? You got to win that championship game. If you wanted to, until we get this fixed, and there's problems in football, right? We just finished with the 8-man Prepcast when we were listening to that before we went live, and there's a 1-6 or something team in Murtaugh that are this close to making the playoffs. Like, something's got to give, something's got to change. So, write the people, talk to people who can actually make these changes, but. For our purposes here, you win your game, you go on, you lose your game, you may not play. And so congratulations to Teton boys soccer for winning that game, getting the upset, winning 2-1. And Sean, I do like the fact, 2 things. One, that they won 2-1. It wasn't in PKs. It wasn't 0-0. I can't stand PKs personally.
It's a tough way to end how many minutes of a game, and it has no really bearing on how that game was played. You may
for sure
have had all the shots, had the ball the whole time, and the other team didn't have one shot, but then they win in PKs. And
exactly,
you're changing the format, which I've never liked in sports. I feel like as long as the format's the same and you win out in the format, it's fine. When you change the format of how you win the game, I think it makes it tough. But that's soccer, though. Everyone in soccer knows it. It's no surprise. It's been that way forever. Like it or hate it, that's the game they play, and you have to play it in those terms and figure out a way how to do it. And we'll see that this weekend at state. Some of these games will go to PKs, and it's a difficult pill to swallow, I think, when you watch 90 minutes of soccer and it comes down to just a kick and a jump.
Yep, exactly. So I like that Teton won in 2-1, and then or won in just a normal 2-1, facet, and not in overtime. And then Sean, I like how you're giving Teton a lot of credit where it wasn't a huge upset. I led with a huge upset because Sugar Salem, they were the defending champions and they were so good, but Teton was still Max Preps number 4. Their only losses this season in conference play was against Sugar Salem, and they only lost 2 other games. I think they only lost 2 games in total. So Teton had a really good season. So great to call that, an upset, but maybe not as big as kind of advertised. So Teton goes to state, and let's go right into our state soccer tournament, Sean. Teton goes in with the number 3 seed. They're going to be playing number 6 Bonners Ferry. Further boys soccer going to 6A, Thunder Ridge. They're the district champs in High Country Conference in that in 6A division. 6A High Country
6A.
Conference.
Yep.
5A, 6A. Wow,
there's 6A District 6.
6A District 6.
Yeah, and Thunder Ridge is going against BK in the bottom half of that bracket, and
exactly
BK as Bishop Kelly has moved up in soccer, and a very strong team. This is a tough bracket. Thunder Ridge has been here before, though. Like, this is a lower seed than Thunder Ridge has had coming into it, and they've had some success. I would say haven't quite gotten over that hump, and it'll be difficult. But you got a first year team in this division playing at this level in Bishop Kelly, and you have Thunder Ridge. This is happening in Coeur d'Alene. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see what happens, which will be tomorrow. That game will be at 3 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, right?
Yep. And then other team in 5A, Canyon Ridge defeated Highland for second. So 6A, 5 districts 5 and 6 got 2 seeds to state. So Highland will Canyon Ridge will also be going to state, and Canyon Ridge plays Rocky Mountain. That's the number 8 seed. Canyon Ridge playing number 1 Rocky Mountain, which, hey, you punch a ticket to state, but guess who you get to play? The number 1 seed Rocky Mountain. And I believe that is the first game of the day or the last game?
That's the third game.
Third game. Okay. So at number 8 Canyon Ridge versus number 1 Rocky Mountain will be the third game. Sean, does Canyon Ridge even have a shot? I mean, it's state. Canyon Ridge is good, but Rocky Mountain number 1 seed is really good.
I think anytime you make it a state in soccer, you have a shot for the reasons you were just talking about. If you can hold out to PKs or whatever, soccer is not usually sometimes is not indicative to the game that's going on. Something can happen. Anything can happen. One goal here, one mistake here can happen. I think it's going to be very difficult. I think Rocky Mountain, the number 1 seed, is a very has a very good chance of winning this whole thing, along with Boise as well. I think there's some good teams there. Can Canyon Ridge pull up an upset? I think in soccer, your chances are far better than maybe other sports, but it's going to be a very difficult task for the Hawks.
Yeah. Let's move over to 5A then for boys soccer. In 5A, Idaho Falls were the district champions. Sean, we talked last week how Blackfoot was upset early on in their district tournament. This is 5A Division 6 High Country Conference. But Blackfoot ended up, it took them the long way, Sean, but they got there. Blackfoot won 1-0 in overtime over Skyline, not in PKs, but in overtime. So Blackfoot will also go to state as a lower seed. But still they get to state. So 5A is going to be held. 5A for boys soccer is going to be held at Bonneville High School here in East Idaho, Sean. And Blackfoot's going to be playing number 4. Blackfoot's going to be playing number 5 Sandpoint. And I misspoke, Sean. Blackfoot is still a higher seed than IF. IF is the number 6 seed.
Yeah, because
playing,
of the max.
Exactly, because of Max Preps rankings, which, for better or for worse, that's how it is.
Well, that's the point, right? So the thing is, the max preps is good because Blackfoot stumbles into district tournament, but doesn't really penalize them,
right?
Because they still make it. They still have an opportunity to make it. They make it. They get the seed they would have gotten, regardless if they win the district tournament or not, because there's no predetermined spots. So, Blackfoot didn't win they didn't win the district title, but they still get they don't lose anything as far as where they get put in the bracket. So, I mean, there's a lot of interesting ways you can go around that too. But
and I think the holistic conversation is, if you win your district championship, if you win your district, should that give you a bump in the rankings? And I've gone back and forth. I don't know, right? But there is an interesting conversation there. If you won your games in district, if you won your district, should that bump your max preps? But you're right. Blackfoot stumbles, but they're still the better team overall. They, look at the evidence throughout their season, so they get the higher seed, and they'll be playing number 5 Sandpoint, and then IF number 6 playing number 3 Century. And Century won theirs mostly no problems, a little slip ups. We had some controversies, some interesting issues, but everything was cleared up for Century. They'll be playing number 6 IF at state.
Yeah, it was. I got to see Century play Idaho Falls in the regular season. It was a 4-3 win for Century. Idaho Falls has a very fast defender. They're a good team. They're always a good team. They always make it to state. They've done a good job. Century, was the number 2 team all year, which I found very interesting. And then last minute, they're no longer the number 2 team. Valley View, played a game against Rocky Mountain that didn't get recorded in max preps, and I don't know, and they lost that game. It's recorded somewhere. I looked it up, like 1-4 to Rocky Mountain, and they didn't get recorded. And I don't know if that, if that changes how these end up, but looked into it later, but it was too late to say anything. But that's the only problem. I like that, Blackfoot didn't get penalized because that we don't have predetermined spots. I think predetermined spots are terrible. I think this is a far better method. Is it perfect? No, but the method only works as well as we police it and make sure that the games are put in. So, and we saw that a little bit last year with football. So, it'll be interesting to see. I'm really interested to see where volleyball ends up, because sometimes volleyball scores don't get put in either. But
there's so many.
Century drops down to the 3, and Valley View didn't put in a game. But if you look at the bracket, Valley View's 2, Century's 3, it doesn't really change a whole lot, just that who you play first. And, typically you don't like to play, relatively your same. It's District 5, District 6, but let's be honest, Pocatello and Idaho Falls is pretty close, right? You don't want to play your same area opponent right off the first round, but it'll be a tough first round for both teams. I think Century and Idaho Falls, that's a tough first team. Idaho Falls definitely a strong 6 seed.
Yeah, and congratulations to Century, man. They're 3 in a row district champions, and obviously they're going to state. So Century won the games they were supposed to win, despite some hiccups these last few weeks. Let's go down to then finally for 4A boys soccer. American Falls, they win their district. They're going to state, and so they'll be coming in as the number 7 seed, Sean. They'll be playing number 2 CDA Charter, Coeur d'Alene Charter School, as the number 2 seed. And we already mentioned number 3 Teton playing number 6 Bonners Ferry. If you're Air American Falls, do you feel like you can get that CDA Charter team? Because, man, they're really good playing in that tough conference.
I mean, American Falls is a soccer team that seems to play for the postseason. So I definitely think they have what it takes. Have they been able to put it together for enough games to get to like a championship game? Not as of recently, but I think they definitely have a good chance. CDA Charter are definitely a strong 2nd seed, and it's that East versus North. Sometimes it's really hard to compare these teams because we don't have anything to compare it with, but it should be a good game. I also like Teton. I think Teton is a 3 seed is kind of a sleeper. The only team they've lost to is Sugar, and Sugar arguably the best team is even in the tournament. So watch out for this bracket to what happens tomorrow at Real Life Fields in Post Falls. It should be interesting.
Yeah. So just a quick reminder, the soccer will be played for both boys and girls district. 6A is going to be at Coeur d'Alene High School. 5A is going to be at Bonneville up in Idaho Falls. Is it Bonneville and Hillcrest, Sean, or just Bonneville?
I'm thinking there's some fields out past Skyline, but maybe but they might be playing on the turf now at Hillcrest too. I don't know for 100%. I can find out though.
Yeah, but I know a few of those games are at Bonneville. I know boys soccer, at least those first games are at Bonneville. So I'm wondering if boys soccer is at Bonneville and girls soccer is at it is. So girls soccer is at Hillcrest and boys soccer is at Bonneville. Sean, I did the research, man. I got to trust my research. All right. So and then boys will be at Real Life Fields, like you said, Sean, in Post Falls, Idaho. Beautiful fields up there. Talked to North Idaho Prepcast, our guy Ryan Skaggs last week in our crossover episode. If you missed that, go check it out on IdahoSports.com. And he mentioned how Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene High School both have beautiful fields. They're fast, turf, grass, going to be really good soccer. But hopefully your touches are there because it's going to be fast soccer. Sean, let's go to girls soccer here. Girls soccer districts. Highland won district. They'll be going to state. Madison defeated Canyon Ridge for second, and state, of course, 6A High Country Conference. That's 5A. Dude, Sean, why can I get that? 6A districts 5 and 6. Holy smokes. They send 2 to state. Hillcrest for 5A girls, they're district champs. And then IF got second, and so they'll be going to state as well. Of course, 5A High Country Conference, they send 2 to state as well. IF, big game there, defeated Skyline 6-5 in PKs. But let's talk really fast, Sean, about 6A and 5A. 6A is going to be at Memorial Field in Sandpoint. That starts Thursday. Number 7 Highland playing number 2 Boise. Then number 8 Madison playing number 1 Rocky Mountain. Sean, those two, Highland, Madison, both those low seeds. Again, anything can happen, but congrats to those teams. Who do you like in those matchups?
I'm not going to candy coat it. I mean, Rocky Mountain, Boise, and Bishop Kelly at number 5. Bishop Kelly has beaten some of the teams that won it. Boise kind of slipped in the district tournament. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough for either Highland or Madison. They got no favors in these rankings. These are the top, definitely 2 teams in the state. I think any way you cut it, unfortunately. But Highland, they don't even have any seniors, I don't think, on their girls team. I noticed somewhere, and that, I mean, they've got a lot to build on. Madison kind of sneaking in. Canyon Ridge was kind of more of the favorited team, I think, as the year went on. But, that was kind of like Madison girls basketball. They kind of snuck into the tournament. They had a lot of young players, got that experience. And so I think that's kind of what you're going to see here. But like I said, it's soccer. Anything can happen, but definitely going to be difficult against those SIC schools.
Yeah, definitely. But you do still have, if you lose those games, you have the losers bracket. And for Highland and Madison, teams that are the lowest seed, you're super grateful to be there. You're going to play hard. But even if you lose, you go to the losers bracket and you can do some stuff and build off that for next year, especially as a young Highland team coming into state. And then we already mentioned the teams in 5A, but let's hit them one more time, because now we know who they're playing, Sean. You got number 3 Pokey. Pokey won their district, is playing number 6 Twin Falls. Number 8 Idaho Falls playing number 1 Middleton, and found number 5 Hillcrest playing at home at their home field versus number 4 Sandpoint. Of those 3 games, which one is most intriguing, Sean?
Well, I think definitely you have to go down to the bottom of the bracket where Sandpoint is taking on Hillcrest. Yeah. I think that's probably the most interesting matchup. I think you have a Hillcrest team that has been playing really well of late, and they're playing at Sandpoint, which traditionally Sandpoint is one of the top teams. It's 5A now. It used to be 4A. 4A was almost like set in stone. Sandpoint, Bishop Kelly, and girls soccer. Well, that's changed up a little bit. So I find that game really interesting. Pocatello Twin Falls is also very interesting. Twin Falls is usually a very solid program. they've done a lot of good things. Pocatello coming in after their really good season last year. What can they do? But I think the elephant in the room is Middleton, who's dropped down, who is a really good team lurking against Idaho Falls, which may be very difficult. You've got basically a 6A school playing. It's just kind of weird how they've moved all the sports around,
Right.
In a lower division where they might not have been as competitive, but they did play some of these Boise teams and did all right. So it'll be fun. I think East Idaho is represented well, and we'll have some good opportunities to bring home some hardware.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that Pocatello is playing twin. I like that Pocatello is coming in as a number 3 seed. I believe last year they were 1 or 2. Sean, last year they were supposed to win it all, and they stumbled in the second round or in the first round, and just really a disappointing state tournament for them. I believe they still got third place. Yeah, they did get third place.
They lost to Sandpoint, right?
That's right. That's right.
Because last year it was Sandpoint Bishop Kelly for the 18,000th time. Yeah, Pocatello defeated Canyon Ridge, right? Now in 6A 5-0, but they lost to Sandpoint 2-1, and then they beat Twin Falls, their first round opponent, 5-1 in that third place game. So a lot to play for. And not being the number 1 seed maybe takes a little bit of that pressure off.
That's what I was going to finish with. I like Pocatello as a number 3 seed without that pressure, and they can go in and make some noise. So congrats to all those East Idaho teams. And one more time for the girls district champs: Highland wins district, Hillcrest wins their district, Pokey, Sugar, Marsh Valley win their district. And with that, let's go into 4A, Sean, really quickly. 4A is going to be played at Real Life Fields again at Post Falls. Number 1, Sugar Salem is going to play number 8, Homedale. And then number 4, American Falls. Guess who they get to play? A familiar foe from their own conference. Number 5, Marsh Valley. Marsh Valley wins their district. But again, it doesn't matter. Their max preps is what matters. And American Falls, I mean, even though they're playing at an away field, right, a neutral field, if you will, American Falls does get the 4 seed. Marsh Valley gets the 5 seed. They play each other in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, this reminds me back to a few years ago when it was, I think, Skyline and Blackfoot girls basketball played each other first round. Skyline, Blackfoot boys played each other first round. Like, it kept happening. So there's a little bit of the fault in this, that you're going to travel all the way to Post Falls to play your district opponent.
Right.
But you got to look at it as an opportunity, right? You've made it there. This team. You could win. You know how to win. You know what it's going to take to win. Your scouting isn't going to have to be as extensive, because you know who you're playing. This is a district opponent, but a difficult a storyline to navigate, right? Traveling all this way, smaller schools traveling all this way to play each other. It just always kind of looks cringy on paper.
Yeah, 100%. So unfortunately, they do have to play each other in the first round. Winner likely plays. I'm taking Sugar Salem in that first round, Sean, playing number 8, Homedale. So winner of this game likely plays Sugar Salem. American Falls, they didn't play Sugar Salem this season. Marsh Valley did, but Marsh Valley, Sean, lost that game. I believe it was 6-1. Yeah, 6-1. So Marsh Valley has a common opponent there in Sugar Salem, but really both teams don't really know what they're facing if they win and they do play Sugar Salem in that second round. So Sean, that's going to do it for girls and boys state soccer. Again, congrats to all the East Idaho teams who won their district tournament, and then got that berth to state, or got second place for those districts that sent 2 teams to state and got that berth to state. And good luck to them this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday should be a really nice tournament all over North Idaho and East Idaho representing there. With that, Sean, let's go into volleyball, another sport where we are deep into district play, and some have already earned their berth to state. Let's start, Sean, with 6A High Country Conference, 6A, and then you got districts 5 and 6. Madison, heavy favorite, but who's second, Sean? We'll know by tomorrow night. Thunder Ridge is actually playing Madison for the championship and for a berth to state, and then loser will play the winner of Highland Rigby for second and their own berth to state, because of course 6A High Country Conference gets those 2 bids to state. Sean, when you have Thunder Ridge and then or Madison. Thunder Ridge could surprise Madison. I believe Madison. I think you and I both agree Madison should win that. But Highland, Rigby, Thunder Ridge, who do you like there?
Oh man, I mean, I think we talked about this before. It's kind of maybe who gets hot, and at the end, I think all three potentially can kind of lean a little towards Thunder Ridge, but it's hard to be in that championship game, lose, and have to play again. I mean, it'd be very hard to say you don't think Madison comes out of this conference. They've handled their business very well all season, and if that happens, Thunder Ridge is going to drop down, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah. And then in the 5A High Country Conference, Idaho Falls, they're another favorite. But who's going to be second? Again, we'll know by Thursday night. We actually do know IF versus Bonneville tomorrow at 7 o'clock. I believe that game was tonight, Sean, if I'm not mistaken. Winner plays for the championship. Loser fights for their way back to the championship because, again, it's double elimination, and 5A High Country Conference sends 2 teams there. And then Pokey, heavy favorite in the 5A Southeast Idaho Conference. They're 1-0. Their game was timed at 6:30. That game is all done. So we do know, we should know, we don't have a confirmation of that if Pocatello did end up beating Century. And that's just one bid to state. And then for a High Country Conference, Sugar Salem upset South Fremont, Sean. Thursday, they will play the winner of South Fremont Teton. So if South Fremont beats Teton, which they probably should, they get to play Sugar Salem one more time. They get another shot at Sugar Salem. And again, this is only one bid to state, but it is double elimination.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough. I think sometimes we get we go too close to the foregone conclusion in that district, right? And there's always an upset lurking, Teton or Sugar. When Sugar's down, do they upset? And Fremont as well. So it's hard. You like to say it's going to happen, but you don't. But again, one bid, you got to win the game. So whatever team can get their business done, they'll be there. So we'll have to see.
So I just got confirmation. I just went on the IdahoSports.com scoreboard, Sean. Pocatello did beat Century for the district title, but it was 3-2. They took them. Century took Pocatello to 5 games. And Sean, I saw Century play Pocatello last week. I was super impressed with Century, man. They played on the road. They had a couple really nice hitters. A sophomore, Burrup, she was awesome. But I would have loved to see Century go on and maybe there was a 1.5 and a play in for Century, but good volleyball team just having to play a better Pokey team. Yeah,
super young team, 2 freshmen starting playing heavy minutes, only 2 seniors on that team, Suri Delamy and Millie Pantea, and so a super young team. They lost yesterday 3-1, and then obviously tonight 3-2. I mean, so a super young team, a lot of upside. Again, just there's only one bid, we don't, and there's only one team. It's a difficult thing as Preston has moved down a different classification. So yeah, a lot to build from. A good team. Coach Meg Fleshman doing a great job there. She's also the basketball coach, so hopefully she'll get a lot of those girls to come with her to basketball next season.
Yeah, I know. Really fun team to watch for sure. And then let's see. Let's do 4A High Country Conference. Oh, we already did that one. Excuse me. 4A SCIC, Bear Lake, another heavy favorite there. Snake River plays Bear Lake tomorrow for the championship. Again, 2 bids to state. So even if Snake River loses, they still could go to state. But again, it is double elimination. And then Sean, let's take a look at this bracket for the 3A Nuke Conference. Just a super interesting bracket here. Let me add this and share my screen, and hopefully you can see that. Make your screens big so you can get a look at this bracket for the 3A Nuke Conference. So you got Ryrie playing Salmon. Ryrie wins that game. Then they play Firth. Firth upsets Ryrie in a 3-2, so they go best of 5, and Firth beats them in 5. And Ryrie will then go all the way back down and play North Fremont. That's going to be tomorrow night at 3 o'clock, tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And Sean, like you say, I mean, it's never a foregone conclusion. Ryrie should win that, but man, what a chance for North Fremont to get an upset here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got an opportunity. You've played, West Jefferson. You've got a win under your belt. and that a team coming off a loss, you've come off a win, you've got a little momentum, and those things are important. And maybe North Fremont comes, and maybe you have a 2 and a 3 playing. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Nothing is going to chalk here on this bracket.
Yeah. And you mentioned North Fremont got their win against West Jefferson. They won 3-0. The game before that, they beat Salmon 3-0. And the game before that, they beat West Jefferson in their first game against each other 3-2. So after that 3-2 close matchup, they went 3-0, 3-0. So North Fremont's coming in hot. They may be peaking at the right moment. They get a Ryrie team that's a little bit, maybe reeling from that loss against Firth, a close loss to Firth. Maybe North Fremont can steal this win, send Ryrie home, and get to that championship game, and get to maybe they take Firth, but if nothing else, Sean, they get to state.
Yeah, I mean that's what you play for, the opportunity to get that free hooded sweatshirt. Get that hoodie. You want that opportunity, and it helps build the program. So yeah, a lot to play for.
Yeah, and then let's discuss really quickly also 3A SCIC. I probably said that first. I didn't mean 3A. We did 3A Nuke. Now let's do 3A SCIC. This Thursday, tomorrow, number 2 Westside versus number 1 Malad. It's a double elimination, quarterfinals and on, 2 bids of state. So even if one of those teams loses, I think they play one more game, and then if they win, they go to state. But I'd really like that it's number 2 Westside versus number 1 Malad. And Sean, we haven't talked much about Malad volleyball. They've been kind of like that Preston, kind of quietly winning their games, and they're number 1 seed in this district tournament with a chance to go to state.
Yeah, Malad is always extremely tough at volleyball, and they're a team you've got to keep your eye on, and they're playing well at the right time, and that's what matters. Definitely.
Yeah. And then 2A Butte County, they beat Grace. Butte won their district in 2, and they will be going. It's only a half a bid, Sean, for their conference, so they'll be going to the play-in game Saturday at Canyon Ridge High School. I don't know who they're playing yet. I think we're waiting for one more game before we know who they will be playing. But I do like Butte County, even if they're playing, a stronger team from Magic Valley or the Boise area. And then finally, we had a game today, and I haven't gotten confirmation of this one, but Sean, maybe you can help us out here. Rockland, number 1 Rockland played number 2 Mackey for the district championship in the Rocky Mountain Conference in 1A. Both should go to state, even with the loss. But they do this conference does get 2.5 bids to state. So who will play in the play-in game? Is it going to be Grace Lutheran? Is it going to be Ledor? Final games were tonight at 6:30. So hopefully we get some scores here quickly, and we can know exactly who won. Sean, would you catch those by chance as I gave you some time? Or should I keep talking?
No, I haven't gotten those ones yet. Maybe some late night podcasters will tune in and let us know, but it'll be those bottom spots will be really interesting. Who comes out of it, right, with the 2.5 bids to state, and where that will end up in the bracket, I think, going forward. But yeah, that conference is always tough. You can't count your chickens before they hatch.
Exactly. Yeah. So today we had at 4:00 we had Chalice play Grace Lutheran. We had North Gem play Ledor, and then we had Mackey play Rockland, and we don't have scores for those yet. If someone has those scores, hit us up here on the East Idaho Prepcast. Sean, we got Chanel Rodriguez coming in hot. Here we go. Thanks, Chanel Rodriguez, for your help. Mackey lost, Grace Lutheran won. So there you go.
Okay.
So we do have some confirmation of those victories. Thanks to Chanel Rodriguez for helping us out there. So Grace Lutheran, I believe, was that the final game. We can pull that up really fast, actually. And let's check on that, Sean, just to see if they are in or if they have to play one more game before they're solidly into that final. So they will play the winner of Ledor North Gem, whoever won that game tonight. And then the winner of that, Sean, will go to the play-in game out in Canyon Ridge. And then Mackey lost to Rockland, so Rockland will go. Well, Rockland won the district. Congrats to Rockland there, the Rockland Bulldogs. And Mackey is the runner-up, and they will go to state. Man, if I'm Rockland, Mackey, maybe even Grace Lutheran, maybe Ledor, I'm really excited about my chances going to state. There's some great teams, but Rocky Mountain is such a good conference, like you said, Sean.
Yeah, I mean it'll be very interesting to see. And then again, you might have the case where they're playing each other again at the
Right.
state. I can almost guarantee that might happen. It's kind of what it's looking to brew up, that you're going to play this team that you just played again very soon.
Yeah. And I believe it's 3A. Yeah, it's the 3A where I think it's in football where they choose. Yeah, it is 3A football where you have a committee that chooses your first round matchups. I wonder if we could do something like that in the future. So you're kind of avoiding these, 3 versus 4 is fair, but 3 versus 4 is also, American Falls versus Marsh Valley, or, Ledore versus Grace Lutheran, or, Mackey versus Rockland. Something to consider in the future. Again, write your state senator. Sean, let's finish. Well, we'll do a couple more sports, but we'll finish districts with cross country, and then we'll actually finish with football. Cross country, Sean, we are at districts for most of the districts. 6A High Country Conference, we had Highland boys and girls both winning that. 5A High Country Conference girls, for girls it was Idaho Falls, and for boys it was Skyline. 5A SEIC is tomorrow in Preston. They're going to run on that. I want to say it's that beautiful. Is it the golf course they're going to be running on? I think. But anyway, that's going to be tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then 4A District 6, girls and boys, Sugar Salem swept those with both their girls and teams winning. And then 4A District 5 was stable. We haven't had any results for those cross-country fans out there, or anyone who knows about those results, would love to see those results as well. And then for 3A Newt Conference, Ryrie boys and girls, Sean, both swept it. The Fighting Matt Harrises have done it again for cross country. Matt Harris, he came in at the beginning of the season and said, look, our fall sports are going to be strong. He said he didn't want to, be too loud in this, but volleyball, he was excited about volleyball. He was excited about cross country and football. And so far, all three of those have performed well, including cross country boys and girls.
Oh yeah, I mean, they've been solid all year. They've competed in some of those events across classifications and done very well. So that just shows you how well Ryrie has performed all year. And yeah, just a great job. And districts is finishing up, and we're gonna have cross country state to talk about soon.
Yeah. And so next Wednesday, we'll talk about state, all the individuals, because of course, it's not just teams, Sean, but also individuals are going to state as well. We want to highlight them for sure. But as the results are just coming in tonight, didn't quite have time to get all the individuals in. But yeah, next week we'll be talking about all the teams, not only teams, but also some of the individuals, some of the top individuals going to state. And of course, 3A and then 1 and 2, that from District 5 for cross country, that's going to be tomorrow. And I believe that's going to be in Malad, Sean,
Okay.
for their cross country district tournament race. And cross country is so great. Just a quick plug for cross country. I ran cross country in high school, Sean, for one season. I was decent. I think my fastest time was 18:30 as a sophomore. Not super fast, but it was good enough. But point is, cross country is such good sportsmanship. And really cool camaraderie. You do have these 1A, 2A teams that they don't send teams. They send 3 or 4 kids. I know Showban 1A, right? I saw, was it Bob Conley or was it Bob Furman was here? Which one is here in Pocatello, Sean? Was it Furman or it doesn't matter, but
Furman, yeah.
Furman, one of the races here. And you had the Showban team kind of banding together, but there was also this camaraderie among the teams around them, kind of talking to them, high-fiving, good luck, handshakes. It's a really cool, I don't know if it's gentleman's sport, kind of like we talk about with some of those other sports, but like rugby, but just really like the camaraderie around cross country. And it got me thinking of that when I noticed that 3A and 1A and 2A are all kind of racing at the same place. And I like how Malad kind of opens their doors and say, hey, we'll host you as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Good sportsmanship is definitely comes at a premium sometimes this late in the seasons for all these fall sports. So definitely a great way to end fall sports is on a high sportsmanship note.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Sean, with that, let's finish with football. How did we do last week? We had a fun little wrinkle with our boy North Idaho Prepcaster Ryan Skaggs. Yeah, Ryan Skaggs joined us, and he joined our little pick'em. But how do we do, Sean? Currently, we were tied 11-4. I chose Kamei. You and Ryan both chose Potlatch. Dude, I don't know what happened, but Kamei won, which I was very excited about, but also a little bit disappointed in Potlatch. But I got Kamei. I got that one. We both chose Skyline as Skyline defeated Highland. I did choose, and I will take this. I chose Aberdeen. Aberdeen lost, but we couldn't officially, Sean, and there might be some controversy here. We might need to, we might need to have a third party come in. I chose Aberdeen, but I didn't force you guys to choose yet because the pick'em for the 6 games that IdahoSports.com does wasn't out yet. So I did not force you guys to participate in Aberdeen. Was it Aberdeen West Side? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
And so you guys didn't pick. I was wrong, but should I be penalized for that if you guys didn't pick? And I still picked the 2 other teams. That's the question I have for you tonight.
Oh no, it's fine. If it's all in good fun. Yeah, and the 8-man that was on before, talked about the Potlatch Kamei, and it was kind of, I think, surprising for all. But yeah, it was, I went with kind of my gut and their mascot, and never trust Ryan again, I guess is what I've learned. But we were right on Skyline. Ryan picked Highland. Skyline, I mean, we might as well go right into that, right? Skyline,
absolutely,
a very impressive win, 35-14 over the Highland Rams. Just a offensive juggernaut in this game. 547 yards total offense for the Grizzlies.
That's insane, Sean.
If it's not Carmine Garcia at quarterback, it's Crockett rushing or Trey Kirkham receiving, who I saw at the Motion Bowl make some big catches. I mean, they're offensively, who do you stop? I don't know. I don't know if you can stop them. I think with this win, to me, they're the favorite in 5A going forward, unless something devastating happens. The Skyline team is on a path for a blue trophy.
Yeah. And, that was the first time Highland has lost consecutive games since 2022. They probably some injuries there, but you still have a young Highland team. Sean, really, so Skyline, we got to talk about how dominating they have been. I saw Skyline play a few games this year, 3 or 4 games, actually. Really enjoyed my time every time Skyline played, but someone did beat them. It was close, but they still got him. That was Madison. But Madison has a giant line. So if there's any 5A teams that feel like they can take Skyline, you better have a massive defensive and offensive line to push Skyline around, because if you don't, Skyline will push you around, or they'll just beat you in the air and off of all their kind of West Coast offense with screens and flat throws and their kind of trickery running plays that they do with a lot of misdirection. So really, Skyline, the only weakness I can see in Skyline's game is playing against a bigger line than on both sides of the football that would kind of slow them down.
Yeah, and I mean, that loss against Madison is the 3rd game of the season. It's 27-28.
Yeah, it was still close.
I mean, there was an opportunity to win that game, but all they've done since then is win every single game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and in dominating fashion.
Yeah, and none of these have been close by any means at this point, right? I don't think Highland scored their second touchdown in like late in the 4th quarter, or it would have been 35-7. So I mean, they've done nothing but win games pretty decisively. So you got to give tip your hat to Skyline and what they're doing, and you're right, they run a very misdirection kind of RPO or run pass option that you might think who you're covering, but it doesn't matter because they have 2 other guys that can do the same thing and run the other way and have the ball. And they just basically are saying, okay, try to stop us. And not many teams have. Yeah.
And remember, they do have a couple of those sophomore, junior running backs that have established the run a little bit more as the season has gone on for Skyline with the departure of Monty Morell to Rigby. So really Skyline, an all around really good team, probably the favorites, if not the favorites in 5A. Let's hit a couple of the other big stories here in East Idaho football. Preston is the district champs. We hit that one already, but for those just joining us, gotta highlight one more time the Preston Indians on winning the district championship, upsetting, I would say, I think you would say too, Sean, upsetting Pocatello, beating Century, and coming away with that 5A district champion trophy. And a shout out to my grandma. She passed away years ago, but she was a Preston grad, man. And it was just kind of cool moving here to East Idaho 3 or 4 years ago. Joining Idaho Sports, realizing that Preston High School had like a decent football and sports program, thinking someday I'll get to shout out Preston. Someday I'm going to shout out my grandma. So I got to shout out my grandma. Passed away years ago, but she was a Preston grad, man, back in the day. Just really cool for Preston.
Yeah, I mean, and the implications are just overwhelming for Preston. Now they go from being the last seed in the bracket out of 16, right? There's only 25 teams, 16 make it. They go from being the last seed to district champs to a predetermined spot, which gives them a home game.
Right.
And yeah, really, it gives it what a program building win for them. And it's just kind of devastating, I think, for the Pocatello Thunder is now like they're projected to play Bishop Kelly first round where they were projected to play Blackfoot, who they lost to, but it was a 1-point game. I mean, it's a very huge turner how one game can flip it all around. Right. And Preston's done nothing but gotten better and really changed their turnovers ratio and not turn the ball over. And we know, as we talked about earlier in the show, their offense is potent and their defense did a good job in containing Hunter May. I got to go back and watch that game, and not many teams have been able to contain Hunter May, who's had a phenomenal season for the Thunder, but Preston found a way into a district championship.
Yeah. And Preston, we're going to call them, my grandma, her name was Wilma Gilbert. So we're going to call Preston the Fighting Wilmas. Okay. Until they lose. All right, Sean.
Whatever you say, Joel.
So Preston plays Snake River. We already talked about this, but we'll just highlight for those who are just joining us. The Preston Fighting Wilmas will play Snake River in their final game. Sean, Snake River is the 4A district champs. They three-peated. They won again. Snake River just wins football games, but they started their season 3 or 4 game losing streak, but playing tough teams, so strong Max Preps rankings. And after that 3 or 4 game losing streak, man, Snake River Panthers just came through, dominated everybody, and ended up winning their district. But they will be playing Preston next week. Preston wins that game. That's going to be huge for Preston. Might bump them even a little bit better in the Max Preps. Sean, 3A SCIC, we have a current 3-way tie for first. What is going on down here in 3A Southeast Idaho Conference?
Well, we've got, I mean, it'll be decided this weekend, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a 3-way scenario. And what game am I thinking? North Gem Rockland, is that the game? No, that's farther down. 3A.
We're talking about.
You're talking 3A. Sorry,
I'm talking 3A. Yeah, it's like West Side, Aberdeen.
Oh yeah, I'm jumping the gun. Yeah, I mean, it's the 3 best teams probably in 3A are in the same division, right? Each have beaten each other each once. I don't know what to say. I guess what I'm going to say is you can't count out West Side ever. Yeah. I think their loss to Declo, everyone took it as like this big, this is it. And then we're kind of down on West Side. They beat Aberdeen, which is a classic game, right? 14-12. Aberdeen puts up double the amount of yards, 323 to West Side's 177 total yards, but wins the game because Aberdeen's unable to convert either on the extra point or the 2-point conversions, and West Side finds a way to win. And I think that's when you look at a 3-way tie, the proof's in the pudding, and I think West Side is the proof, right? They've won so many championships. They find a way to win.
Yeah, and I picked against Westside. I picked against the Pirates, and they told me to walk the plank as they beat Aberdeen 14-12. Yeah, you never count out Westside. I think people were counting out because Deckel had lost one or two games that were a bit surprising, and then they went to Westside and beat Westside. So I think that's why people are like, oh, maybe Westside is not good because Deckel just lost that game and then they beat Westside. But no, like you say, you never count on Westside. That stifling defense. They do just enough on offense to score. I will say, if you or I get to do the 3A state, championship game, it may not be a very exciting game. It'll probably be a low scoring affair because it's likely going to be two East Idaho teams. And that final game might be 7-6, might be the first team to score wins.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. The funny thing is too, is you see in the regular season, the games are really close, 0-6, 14-12. But when you get later in and maybe they're playing inside in the ICCU dome or something, and then sometimes that changes everything big time and you get high scoring games. You get back to what they were doing and then it becomes a shootout where you think, oh, this is going to be a defensive battle. These two teams, they've battled, and then you get in the dome or you get in wherever, and then all of a sudden the offense explodes. Maybe they open up the playbook a little more, but you could be right too. It could be low scoring, but I've seen this too many times where it's low scoring in the regular season and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be defensive, and then you get to the playoffs or the state championship, and then all of a sudden it's nothing but offense.
Yeah, well, I hopefully it is. Would be a lot of fun to see kind of that West Side or Aberdeen or Declo offense really take off. But we shouldn't count our eggs before they hatch. But like we've said most of the season, Sean, 3A is East Idaho, or East Idaho is 3A, if you will, and likely to see one, if not two teams deep make a deep playoff run. Our final score that we wanted to highlight tonight, Sean, was Thunder Ridge beating Blackfoot 35-33. Blackfoot was this close to beating a improved Thunder Ridge team, but honestly, Sean, I quietly picked Blackfoot to win this game, but Thunder Ridge still showing some punch, even though they've taken their lumps this season.
Yeah, I mean, Thunder Ridge again still is competitive in games, does things right, and then just can't find a way to win. And they found a way to win against Blackfoot, which is also kind of in the same boat. Blackfoot, doesn't win a game last year. Comes in this year, has at the time, a pretty big upset over Pocatello Thunder. And, they've won some games here. They've lost some games here. I think it's Thunder Ridge. You just want to, get as many wins as you can to finish out your season. So feel good about going into the next year. But for Blackfoot, it's hard to get a read on what Blackfoot team you're going to get. But what I feel is that you don't want to play Blackfoot first round in the playoffs is what I kind of get that feeling like. Because if Blackfoot shows up and runs the ball, which that's what they do, they run the ball extremely well, it could be very tough first round opponent.
Yeah, I agree. And Blackfoot plays Shelley this Friday for their final game of the season at Shelley. Shelley also, obviously, they run the ball. So I'll be very interested to see how this game goes. I think how this game goes will really know who Blackfoot is. Blackfoot's coming in at third in their conference. They're 2-2 conference play, 4-4 overall. So getting this win against Shelley would be really nice. Shelley at the bottom of the conference, just above Idaho Falls, 1-3, 3-5 in their conference. And I think Shelley is not in. I mean, despite the joke that everyone in 5A makes it if you win a game or two, I don't think Shelley is in right now. If Shelley beats Blackfoot, that might be interesting. That might be enough to get them punch their ticket to playoff play. But Blackfoot, I believe, is in, Sean, but winning this game would really tell us who they are and would solidify their place in a decent seed.
Yeah, I mean, Blackfoot definitely wants to win out. They want to boost that ranking up. Although I don't know if being Shelley is going to be a significance really to move it too much from now. I think some of the other games in 5A have far more significance to where they'll end up in that bracket, and probably those games being in the north making a big difference, and maybe some scenarios in the Boise area as well too. But from going from no games to playoff hopes and aspirations, I mean, congrats to the Broncos.
Yeah, 100%. Right now, the Broncos are listed as an 8th seed. Yeah, or sorry, are ranked at 8 in the Max Preps rankings. So what a turnaround! I believe last year they lost all their games. Maybe they won one. Yeah, they lost all their games. Josh Stewart comes over from Declo and turns things around quickly. Sometimes maybe you need a couple of years, but they're going from 0 to being ranked 8th in Max Preps. Congrats to the Blackfoot Broncos, even if they lose first round. What a great turnaround for for Coach Stewart and his team.
Yeah, and I was talking to some coaches, and the Blackfoot team's young too. You've got a lot of young people. They kind of changed their format a little bit, where last year they kind of only played upperclassmen, and then this year bringing in that new head coach, they're not afraid to play some sophomores and different places and let their best athletes play, and it's made a big difference and help boost the program.
Yeah, and they do have some seniors. Shout out to Peyton Madsen. His friends live his parent lives in my neighborhood, and Peyton Madsen's a super good dude. Offensive line, defensive line player. He's one of those seniors providing that leadership. So shout out to Peyton, and shout out to the Blackfoot Broncos for a really good season, and hopefully they can keep it going. Sean, that's going to do it for tonight's episode. We've only been an hour. Pretty good for hitting all those district tournament play, state stuff, finishing up with football. Where are you going to be this weekend?
I'm going to be with you, little fella.
Yeah. All right. 100%.
We're gonna finish out the season at Lookout Field as the Thunder take on Century, and again a little bit implications here. Pocatello lost to Preston, and Century not winning a game. I mean, it's not a slam dunk, which we might have thought it was in the first part of the season. Century making moving to their younger players too could make a big difference. So there'll be a very it's going to be fun. It's a rivalry. When Century opened, it was the big kind of rivalry because it split Pocatello and in half. Basically half of Pocatello went to Century. It happened my senior year, so I of course know. And so it made it's made a kind of a rivalry, and where one team has done a little better of recently than the other. I mean, everyone wants to end the season on a win no matter what, so it should be fun.
Yeah, it'll be senior night for Pocatello. But yeah, Sean, you mentioned this is their final game for some of these seniors. But I'm looking forward to seeing some more of those sophomores, like you said, Century playing those young players. I think it was Tito Villano, the running back, the sophomore running back.
Yeah, Tito Villano's a sophomore.
Villano.
He's been a running back. He's been doing most of the running back duties this year. They got
Mangum.
Yeah, Justice Mangum's going to be.
Yeah.
He should play, maybe DB, maybe quarterback. And then you've also got Adrian Gonzalez back, who didn't play at the start of the season, and he's a good defensive back, receiver, also a really good basketball player. And a few of those kids have kind of boosted up that Century team a little bit. Century, only has like 9 seniors on the team, and only a handful of them have actually played football like all their career. So in retrospect, it's a very young team anyways, experience-wise and different things. But this class of sophomores is really good class, and they've been playing well, and they've been playing for a little bit together now. So it'll be fun to see them get some shots at Lookout Field.
Yeah, and looking forward to seeing Hunter May do what Hunter May does, really carry that Pocatello team on his back. And it'll be a good game, whether they win or lose, a good warm-up game for Pokey as they go into playoff play. That's going to do it for Sean Kane. I'm Joel Richardson. This has been the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. Everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy all the district, state, final football matchups, and we will see you next Wednesday on the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.